Hello, viewers. This is Ambassador, and I know probably last week I covered a video talking about some amazing things regarding Sonic Mania's beta development. I talked about some things like the hyper forms being scrapped, and a few other things. But I'm gonna give you a shout. Be sure to give a shout out to none other than the Gaff Tool, since he also almost minutes ago, he told me some other interesting things that he found in Sonic Mania. So before I get to the main part of before I get to the websites we're gonna look at, there's four things he also mentioned. The first thing he mentioned was lava. The first thing that Gaftel mentioned that he had found was that Lava Reef Act 1 in Mania had a different stage layout. So maybe originally Lava Reef Act 1 was gonna look a bit different from its final. I might show you a few videos. Hope they don't get claimed by Sega. I'll show you the videos of Lava Reef Act 1's on original layout. Number two, the second thing Legaftel mentioned was there was a hidden animal capsule in Titanic Monarch Act 2. The area itself is used in Time Attack, but the capsule and checkpoint aren't. Who knows? Maybe there been a Titanic Monarch Act 3 originally, and maybe the boss of Titanic Monarch Act 2 might have had to do something before it because the turtle batniks blow Sonic upward with their fans. The third thing she mentioned was there are slopes and other unused tiles off screen in Egg Riviere zone, suggesting that Egg Riviere would have been a full zone, and that Sonic was supposed to make his way to the boss fight instead of just Sonic appearing or making his way, just Sonic appearing in the boss fight. There was also a few unused bonus stages, so it looks like Sonic Mania would have had a few more bonus stages instead of how many it does have now in the final. I will show you I'll make sure to show off the gaff tools for other things, but honorable mention and shout out to the gaff tool. Thank you for notifying me about those things. But before we get to those four videos, why do we get to we're gonna go to the kite room floor and find out some other oddities that are lying in Sonic Mania's data. Here we are in the cutting room floor about Sonic Mania. Right now they're showing you like the level select and debug mode, but look at when we get to unused sprites. Oh dear lord! Underneath general, look at those blue sphere, special stage, and the other zones. Look at this: unused enemies, models, music, hidden areas, and a lot of other things. So look, who knew Sonic Mania had a lot of scrapped items? But here's basically so just skip these few parts. Basically, they're just gonna talk about debug mode. You can pause the video for yourself and figure out how to enable and make debug mode function. Camera movement mode, the development menu. Oh yeah, there's also a few things I'm gonna show up on the side. Hold on, let me just scroll back up. You can see there's a thanks for playing screen, which shows lots of Sonics on screen. The thanks for playing screen is displayed at the end of public demos. Except most of the screen's assets don't exist anymore because maybe Sonic Mania was played at a demo. Since the developers might have had no more use for it, they decided to remove most of its assets since it'd be more useless, if anything. There's also collision viewers. You can see the collision. Okay, here we go. Unused sprites. As you can tell, I already showed you this off. This is the Sonic the Hedgehog Discovery early logo. Talk about that. This was Sonic Mania's original title. Instead of being called Sonic Mania, it was originally called Sonic the Hedgehog Discovery. Unused sprites of the game's title screen until the game's early name Sonic the Hedgehog Discovery, mostly likely left over from the prototype shown to Sega. So when Sega first saw this, called Sonic Discovery, you can see there's Zone Select, Green Hill, and Studiopolis. there's like those were like the menus for early Sonic Mania demos. But oddly, Mirage Saloon or Chemical Plant, which were playable in the E3 this year, do not appear. Also, we have also looking at early graphics at the end of these early Mania demos, which was 25th anniversary Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Mania coming 2017. So, look, if you don't know about this, now you know. Look, now you know about those. Sprites for an Act 3 are in the title card graphics. The only act that would possibly use this, it would be either Lava Reef Zone Act 3, the boss area, but Lava Reef Zone Act 3, which is the boss battle area for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, it uses the Act 2 graphics. So maybe Lava Reef meant to have a third act before, instead of having just two. There's also these are all signposts, but Sonics are labeled in the spreadsheets. There's like 2 extra copies of Sonic signposts are labeled M and A, presumably for Mighty Metal or Metal Sonic, and Amy respectively. So maybe there have been 2, one from Mighty or Metal Sonic, and this one, the bottom one, must have been one for Amy. Who knows? I'm not the developer. I'm not the one who made Sonic Mania. Different background graphics to the title screen. With a slightly more geometric island and graphics of a strange Model 1 Genesis with a 32X and a Model 1 Sega CD emitting a beam of light. Judging by the color palette, this might have been used in DA Guardian before it's scrapped. There's also some unfinished graphics for Sonic when he appears on the title screen, missing several shades on the sprites and gloves. The gray transparent sprites are the finished ones. So the ones in the gray, these are the ones that came out finished and the one that came out in the end. But these few pink ones, these ones are early Sonic. This is some early Sonic title. This is Beta Sonic. This is what Sonic look like in the early title screen. So you can see, comparing this to this, you can see it's missing several shades, and the gloves look a bit different. Very minor. There's also some blue spears. Included in the Blue Spears bonus stage files are sprites of the Chaos Emeralds and Super Emeralds, because these sprites and these assets are taken straight from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. This possibly could have meant that the Blue Spears minigame would have been reused as a special stage, or this is probably a leftover for the Sonic 3 and Knuckles prototype mobile port. So maybe you could see the Sonic 3 and Knuckles appear on the phone. Come on, Sega, do that for me. We already seen this before. Time to escape. Not a message. Maybe it's supposed to be displayed when they're getting the Chaos Emerald and exiting the stage. I already talked about that in my 7 Amazing Things video. A hyper graphic is present in the result graphics, which meant that the return of the hyperform might have been planned. And it's cool to see the hyperforms return, since I think most people enjoyed playing as Hyper Sonic, and Hyper Knuckles in the Genesis titles, or in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, excuse me. Here we are at Chemical Plant Zone. Both Sonic and Knuckles have special intros when entering Chemical Plant, where a drop of purple water falls on their heads and they react to it. This happens to Tails as well. However, he has no special animation in-game for it. From these sprites, it's clear that he was meant to have one, where he uses his tails to dry himself out. Here it is. So maybe Tails had a special cutscene, basically when a drop of water found his head, Tails would dry himself off. Here we are at the Studiopolis. This is the unused object called the Love Test. tester that would have appeared in Studiopolis Act 2. In order to activate it, the player would have to jump into a cage, possibly this cage, to activate this love tester. These lights and blinking hearts would line in the love tester machine. The monitor would display one of these icons below, depending on what character the player is and what the result they get. Nice hand-drawn graphics of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. The first expression is neutral, the second is for winning, and the third is for losing. Getting an Amy icon would count as a win and display a big heart, while getting an Eggman icon would count as a loss and display a broken heart. Apparently, a boss very similar to Gapsol from Sonic and Knuckles cut it from Act 2. The aspect would represent a game of rock, paper, scissors, likely a reference to Sega's Alex Kidd franchise, which relies heavily on rock, paper, scissors, typically for boss battles. So this is almost like a boss of almost referencing Alex Kidd. Here we are, Flying Battery. Let's talk about Flying Battery. The turrets from Wing Fortress Zone were said to reappear here. The tip is a separate sprite and would have rotated to track the player in-game. Another cut object from Wing Fortress Zone. There are many wind tunnel sections in Act 2, but this object isn't any of them. Last cut Wing Fortress Zone is their infamous retracting platform. So maybe this platform is meant to use on the stage but got scrapped. There is a larger version of Spider Mobile's electric bolt that generates those plasma ores. We have arrived on Press Garden. While all the alphabet blocks have raised animations ready, only A, O, and T are used. So we can see it. There's an E, an I, an N, an S, an H, an R, a D, an L, and a U. Green versions of the silver and blue and copper crates are seen throughout Act 1. Probably a good thing that these are never used. They don't contrast well with the background. A big stack of newspapers. Why not? That glass pan might have been a shredder for something that would have spawned those newspapers. 2 high-speed rollers. The brighter one would have rendered in front of the player, and the darker one would have been behind the player. 2 big jars of cyan, magenta, and yellow ink, larger than the ones that the Splats enemies spawn from. The graphic on the right is supposed to be combined with the jars. Something like this. It's likely that the actual blending would have darkened the ink in the jar, though. Fill and splash graphics for the 3 ink jars. This is probably what would have drained those ink jars. A big printer on rails. The first worn-out-looking printer is the first object's graphics file, while the newer, shinier printer one is seen in Objects 2. The game labels these SP500 and SP500 MKLL in the code. These are modeled after the Sega SG-1000 system. The first printer has a dropper for siphoning and spitting out ink, while the second one has a large switch that the player would have to step on it to operate. These are on and off lights for both printers. The brighter lights are for the Mark II printer. The dusty animation would have been related to one or both of the printers. This is an Act 1 version of the swinging platform seen in Act 2. Graphics of the wood chippers and wall shuriken shooters from Act 2 are also present within Act 1's assets. So, the shuriken shooters have 2 transitional frames that aren't used in the final game. The lights are either fully on or fully off. So you can see which one was used and the full. Within the object's temp sheet in Act 2's folder are a bunch of placeholder graphics for what would have become the level's objects and gimmickry. A lot of them are ripped straight from the Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3, in addition to Aquatic Ruin Zone's Eggman Space Shooters from Sonic 2, which are probably adapted into the Wall Shuriken shooters. Cause see, these are from Aquatic Ruin, and here's some Ice Cap. So maybe Ice Cap was meant to return at one point, or maybe they're supposed to use something similar to that, or maybe this one inspired most of the things. Who knows? Now we arrived at Stardust Speedway. Comedy and tragic mass constellations are meant to be seen in the skies of Stardust Speedway Act 1. That's just it. But here we get to Mirage Saloon. A piñata of a ball hog would have been used in Mirage Saloon, dedicated to the Mexican tradition. Oil Ocean Zone. A horizontal version of the booster objects that propel the player into those ball launcher things, unused in the original Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and also unused here. A small version of the lift platforms, based on the one seen in the Sonic 2 Simon Y prototype. An unused gold variant of the Silver Switch is seen in Act 2, and here we get to Lava Reef. This giant chain link is in Heavy Rider sprite sheet, maybe part of a cut exit sequence. Active version of the Super Emeralds and Knuckles boss area, and the final game, they're nowhere to be seen, replaced by stone relics. This is not taken directly from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. The graphics have been actually touched up a bit here, so you can see this emerald is flashing. So maybe in Knuckles' boss area, Knuckles was meant to transform in order to battle maybe meant to battle his boss battle as Super Knuckles. Who knows? But here we go to Scrap Brains, and if you look carefully, you can see some of these sprites are clearly taken from Sonic 1. Because you can see, I already know most of these sprites. I see most of these sprites. If you see my Sonic 1 debug my live stream, you already seen most of these enemies, these Eggman sprites. All of this is almost taken straight from Sonic 1. Leftover sprites were found in the game's sprite folder, showing sprites for Scrap Brain Zone. These sprites are clearly taken from Sonic 1, which meant that they were either placeholders for what have been a Scrap Brain Zone in Sonic Mania, so we would have seen Scrap Brain again, or just leftovers from the Sonic 1 for Sonic 1 on iOS and Android. Hidden Palace Zone. Sprites of the remade Hidden Palace Zone from the mobile remake of Sonic 2, like Scrap Brain Zone, this could have been either leftovers from the mobile remake or placeholders for what have been a Hidden Palace Zone in the game. Of all of these assets, only the Jelly Good Night Batnik would have been chosen to be updated, namely for Hydro City Zone. DA Garden. Graphics with buttons and screens would have been used in the DA Garden, and may resemble Sega CD's UI types before it was scrapped in favor for a more generic interface. I can see, here's a much better look at them. The early pause menu. An early pause menu seen in some pre-release footage. Miscellaneous. Ho ho. Look at some of these miscellaneous sprites. If you need to pause the video, you can, because oh my god, look at these. I think some of these are mostly seen in Sonic 2. Various leftover sprites from the mobile parts of Sonic 1, 2, and the failed Sonic 3 pitch located in blueprints of the game's sprite folder. Straight from the Taxman's keyboard. The blueprints thing isn't special at all, really. Blueprints, though, was something that existed very early on while I was developing RSDKV5. We just ported a bunch of stuff on the remaster to test the tools out, but simply forgot to delete the sprite sheet when it wasn't needed anymore. And again, I means that from this article, not me at Apple Start. I did not develop Sonic Mania. Unused enemies, here we are, in Green Hell. The original version of Splats can be seen in debug mode in both acts. This is separate from the updated Splats used in Press Guardian in Act 1. It's most likely a leftover from the mobile port of Sonic 1. Chemical Plant. A pond skater badnik that looks and behaves like a similar badnik entitled Tempest Zone from Sonic CD. It can be placed in debug mode in Act 1. This little guy will automatically snap to the water surface and stride along a short burst, occasionally stopping to fire its pointy nose forward like a missile. Press guard in Act 1. Graphics for Act 2's Woodrow Batnik are loaded in Act 1's enemy sheet. The only enemies that normally appear in both acts are the Dragonfly and Jugglesaw. Splats is exclusive to Act 1's sheet and Carry is exclusive to Act 2's. So Woodrow's presence in both implies it was intended for both acts at some point. Unused models. Monarch BG. Located in data meshes TMZ is an unused 3D model of the mech seen in the background of Titanic Monarch Zone. Since a sprite is used instead, the model goes unused. Unused music. There's only one unused soundtrack. This track is listed in the DA Garden Egg Riviere pinch mode, which suggests that it would have played when you are running out of rings or you have almost defeated the true final boss in Egg Riviere Zone, but it never plays in those situations. Let me turn up the volume. There you go. Hidden areas and objects. Using debug mode, you can go out of bounds to find hidden areas and objects. Use debug mode near the first giant ring in the act and move down to discover an unused area with letter blocks by OLLEH, backwards for hello. This is very likely an Easter egg for curious players. Stardust Speedway Zone Act 1. The robot teleporter destroyed it during the transition to Act 2 has a destroyed sprite. But due to the nature of the cutscene, it goes off screen before the sprite can be seen and is thus never seen in normal gameplay. By using debug mode to go past the mini boss, you can destroy the machine and see the sprite. So this must be like the destroyed sprite. Mirage Saloon Zone Act 1. Sonic and Tails. Using debug mode during the train sequence, if going to the right far enough correctly, Fang, Bark, and Bean can be found flying in the sky. Cool. Lava Reef Zone Act 1. There's a pool of lava hidden to the left of the starting point. It can only be seen by placing signposts to force the camera to move left. This is not like other instances of going past the left boundary to see a non-solid copy of the end. And as this is actual lava that can hurt you, perhaps this is part of a scrap transition from Oil Ocean Zone. Also found near the starting point is the shaft that Sonic fell down at the start of the zone in Sonic and Knuckles, which remains as a leftover. Lava Reef Zone... Oh, I don't think that's it. Lava Reef Zone Act 2. An unused area in the Hidden Palace Zone area in Lava Reef Zone Act 2 where the Heavy Rider and Heavy King bosses are fought. Using debug mode, fly over to avoid a confrontation against the bosses. You will find an unfinished area that is used in the battle against Sonic and Knuckles in Sonic and Knuckles, coincidentally. According to developer Simon Stealth Tomley, part of the development for zones involved copying the original layouts from the original games and working around them, and altering the level layout. This will explain why the mural tiles are corrupted there. Egg Riviere Zone. Sonic tiles, which only include a slope which never appears in the zone, can be found by placing signposts to force the camera to go out of bounds. I'm out of here. If you already know I'm out of here. So if you ever played Sonic CD or watched Sonic CD basically it's waits for Sonic to wait idly for around 3 minutes. Sonic says, "I'm out of here," and he jumps to the bottom of the street, resulting in an instant game over. I call back to Sonic CD. Sonic says, "I'm out of here," and jumps off screen, causing an instant game over. According to the developer, this was in pre-release demos, but was disabled in the final game. To activate it, add the RAM memory at address 0A4D667, which is divided to 10 to see this I'm out of here thing. Donkey Mode. This Easter egg is activated by grabbing onto a chain in Act 1 of Hydro City Zone and inputting the Sonic 3 and Knuckles level select code. Left, 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 right, 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 up, 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 and during critically a ring chime will be played. From then on, whenever a speed boost is activated, a song of YouTuber Jason Gastro, aka Video Game Donkey, is played instead of the usual sound effect. This change carries over to Act 2. It's right, so maybe... Here's the video. So now Sonic Donkey Mode. And... Sorry. Awesome. Unused text. The following strings are present in all language blocks, but they're always in English. Test string. A simple test string. This feature is not yet implemented, obviously intended for work in progress versions. Placeholder. Simulate login? This is probably used when trying to submit time attack scores before they're properly set up. By the Mania for the Mania. Config.bing contains the game's tagline alongside text used in the developer menu. Early levels. Early Green Hill Zone. An early Green Hill Zone level design similar to what was presented in the San Diego Comic-Con demo and is in the Green Hill Zone cutscene folder in the scene1.bin and c2.bin folders. Or files, excuse me. There's a screenshot of an example of a secret area where was a giant ring presented several times in pre-release versions, so maybe they just took it out. Early Studiopolis Act 1. Using the developer menu, go into Media Demo and select Studiopolis Act 1 will take you to an early version of said zone, which is very similar to the ones that were playable at PAX 2016 and early demos. File name oddities. Early stage name. Press Garden's music files are alternately named Pulp Solstice 1 and Pulp Solstice 2, and its sprite tiles are called PSD 1 and PSD 2. This suggests that the zone was once called Pulp Solstice Zone. Chemical Pools in Chemical Plant Zone Act 2. The name for the chemical pools in Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 reveals that the colors were changed. ChemRed.wave is used for the green chemical pools, and ChemYellow.wave is used for the cyan chemical pools. Heavy Magician. Most internal references to Heavy Magician refer to her by the alternate name of Heavy Mystic. While the version encountered in the boss of Titanic Monarch Zone Act 2 is Phantom Mystic, indicating that this character's official name was changed at some point. Cut bonus stages. There are 4 bonus stages removed. Oddly enough, 3 bonus stages were created for testing. These bonus stages are not accessed by dev menu. You need to edit the special BS content, renaming the files to be accessed more easily. The bonus stage 33 seems to present a test area. Test 3, test 7, and test 8 are complete and has several sets of combinations with the blue spheres. So here we are, scene 33. Apparently this is a test level. The bonus stage is composed of a large area full of blue spheres and a cross-shaped line with red spheres. It is impossible to get perfect. Scene test 3. Here you go. Scene test 7. Scene test 8. And that's it. But there's only a few more things left in the cutting room floor. Before we end this Sonic Mania before we end the Sonic Mania beta video, there are at least 10 more last minute things. The first thing, unused area in Titanic Monarch Act 2. And I'm sure this area is unused. And the time attack at the end the end of the act is another. Please undo the move addition. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this is like talking or pretty much unused area in Titanic Monarch. Press Guardian's early name. Full Mean Bee machine sprites. There are full sprites of the characters in Eggman for the Chemical Plant Zone 2 boss. Where would these be added? Object classic files. Tails is scrapped Chemical Plant cutscenes. Sega Saturn controllers and hashtag retro. Cool tricks that the white Sega Saturn controller is used when you plug in a standard HID controller, i.e. not a proprietary XM device on the Windows version. The black one might be used for the second player. Unused and scrapped information. Then the link that I mentioned from the game that's going data folder mode. About the Chemical Plant Zoo Chemical Plant Zone 2 bounce goo. And that's just it. Phew, that was a doozy. 31 minutes of me rambling about Sonic Mania's unused sprites and unused content. But now you know most of the things are, or if anything, everything that went unused in Sonic Mania. So who knew Sonic Mania had a lot of unused sprite tiles, assets, text, everything. Sonic Mania had a lot of development put into it, so I guarantee you that. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll leave you. Thank you so much for watching, and I leave you till next time.